Hey, ladies, welcome to High Heels and Destiny. Today? Today is Wednesday. Yeah, girl, these days are going by so fast. Today is Wonderful Wednesday. Today we have our special guest. I love to bring her on. I have brought her on a few times because she always brings the tea and the flavor with the tea, okay? We would like to welcome Coach Tamara on board.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here, Naranda. Thank you so much for welcoming me back.
Thank you, Tamara. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Absolutely. Well, I like to say that I am the woman who rocks her life by day. Being a therapist, I help people from all walks of life to overcome challenges with anxiety, depression, and trauma. I love to say that I normalize those things in a very compassionate, non judgmental space. And so I absolutely love what I'm doing during the daytime. And then at night, I am the woman who is training. I'm a certified coach trainer with the Empowerment Coaching Institute, where I am the CEO and founder. But above all those things, Miranda, nothing is more important to me than being a mom to four amazing sons. So, that is how I would sum up who I am and a little bit of what I do.
Okay, thank you. And before we get started, can you go ahead, if someone wants to contact you, can you go ahead and throw out your social media and your website?
Yes, absolutely. So I believe, I try to keep track of all them social media handles. You can Facebook me. That's where I spend a lot of my time at is on Facebook. And that is at I am Coach Tamera J on Facebook, or just look up Coach Tamera J on Facebook. There's only one me on there, and you will find me. Or you can visit me at my website, coachtameraj.com.
Okay, and that's Tamara as in Tameraj
You got
dot
it.
com. Okay. So today, ladies, we want to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and get started. Today's topic is growing into worthiness. That is something that's very, very important. That is something that, believe it or not, it's being worthy or feeling worthy is something that is missing across the board in our races, in our ages. um and it's something that a lot of women is dealing with, is being able to feel worthy. And so that's going to be the topic at hand today. Tamara, when you think of the word of worthy, or what do you think of?
You know what? I'll put it really simple.
Hmm.
En-
What did you say?
Being enough,
Enough.
just enough.
Hmm.
Yeah, I define worthiness. It's just being enough.
And when you said the word enough, it popped up in my head. Like I saw it just as clear as day. It popped up in my head, enough. Like that's it. It's done. It's stamped. Have you ever in your life ever went through a stage of feeling unworthy, not feeling enough?
If I tell a whole cup of truth, in every stage of my life, I've dealt with unworthiness at every stage. Um, I can talk from a professional standpoint, and I can talk just from life experience here. Um, that wrestle, that journey of worthiness is something I personally have dealt with all my life. It is a journey. It is one of the biggest romance. It's one of the biggest roller coasters, if you will. One of the biggest life lessons I personally believe we human beings will always encounter. Um, And I just think that this conversation today, prayerfully, it will help remove some of the myths, and that we as women will begin to redefine how we have been defining worthiness so we can find freedom to move and grow differently as we are on this life journey of becoming whoever we're being called to become in this life.
Thank you. So what do you think, because we both are coaches, and a lot of women dealing with not feeling worthy, and so, there's other things that women do, it leads to other actions, whether that may be getting bad relationships, maybe accepting anything of any, from anybody, not really knowing your true value as a woman, giving yourself sexually to a man, trying to fulfill a void. What do you think is the reason, or what's causing, or what have caused you to feel like, what, I'm not worthy?
Well, I'm a firm believer. I'm not sure who. I know that it's in the Word of God, right? But I'm just going to simplify it here. If you want to know the end of a thing, then you want to look at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so for me, it starts with my relationships with the people who love me first, my family, my mom, and my dad. Because worthiness really has a lot to do with our connections, our attachments. See, we attach worthiness to love,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And we as women, our first love relationship first begins with our mamas. This might sting a little bit, okay? Because in the womb, our mamas are the first house we are ever living in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And whatever her love language was, whatever she was going through, whatever she was experiencing, just wires us, even in the womb. Was the house loving and cozy, or was it full of stress and tension? Were there thoughts streaming through mama's house? I don't want this baby. It's too hard. Life is hard. Or was mama doing all she could, wrestling, tussling with life like most women do? Was the love cultivated? Was it nurtured? And then when we get born, and we get born just like myself, born into a house, because see, my mama was a mom who was born to a woman who was struggling with mental disorders. And we can't say my personal opinion. I never got to meet my grandmother, but when I hear the stories, Miranda, it really sounded a lot like schizophrenia.
Mm-hmm.
So can you imagine being a baby, being born to a woman who has schizophrenia, meaning you are not connected to reality? My mom's mom tried to kill her several times, and my mom has had the battle wounds to prove it. And so her becoming a mom very early, a teen mom, she did not have the capacity. She didn't have the strength. She was totally exhausted by 16, running, fleeing from foster home, from house to house, and dealing with all sorts of stuff. And so, in her heart, in her mind, and in her body, she didn't have it. Not that she didn't love us, she didn't have the energy, she didn't have the mind to take care of children that she born into the world. But like any good mama would do, she tried to put us in a safe place, which was my grandfather's house. But she didn't know her father's house became the house of horrors for us, for me. And so I grew up in that household. And as I shared earlier, that the message of worthiness, because it comes through connection, it comes through relationship. And when you're a child, you learn the message of worthiness by loving, nurturing messages about how people see you in their eyes. As a child, you don't know. You're here, you in your own creative space. You don't know. And we're always reaching for people. We still do that now as adults if we tell the truth about it.
Right.
But because of our painful experiences, if we tell the truth, if we allow ourselves to be completely human and vulnerable and not afraid to let our guard down, we're still reaching. We're still
Mm-hmm.
reaching. We want to reach, but we are afraid. But when we're little kids, little girls, we always reaching. especially for the people that we live with who are supposed to take care of us, protect us, provide for us. And in my experience, I was reaching for those people and I was being rejected. I was being told I was too bright. I was being told I was too busy. I was basically told, get somewhere, go hide, go sit down, make yourself invisible until I need you. And then when they needed me to do some task, do some skill, every time I did it and I performed it, it was not good enough. So be imagined at 4 or 5 years old, being told to sweep, being told to clean up something, and being told to do it and perform it like as if you 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I did it, and I'm wanting to please, because ain't that what we do, Naranda?
Mm-hmm.
That anytime we do something, even as business women, you better come get me because I'm about to peel it all back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even when we build our businesses, who are we building it for? To please?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big, I want to call it lie that we tell ourselves. I'm not here for this. I'm not here to try to please me. Yes, we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we are. We're bombarded with messages from social media. Do this to get this like, do that to get this, do this if you want, and watch this. And it's even coming from the church for that Boaz. This is what you need to do.
Mm.
You better come get me or put your church finger up.
I ain't got no fingers, just knuckles.
See, you see what I'm saying? So here's all these messages that's telling us that we hear that I heard. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Look, I want to put my little elbow up if you can remember being a little girl and how many little girls just like me grew up. And it doesn't mean that our caregivers were trying to. In some senses, they did the best they could. But you remember trying to clean up something and get that. How you missed that? You didn't do that. Go back and do that. And in that childlike heart, you know that you did the best you could. And you're trying to figure out, well, how you get that up? What more? It didn't, it, what, because you can't get that spot shine like them elders can. They know how to put that muscle in. I didn't know how to put no muscle in at 5, 6 years old.
So let me ask you a question. In the beginning, you said worthiness. You said to you it meant enough. But you said something so powerful that I never even thought of until you just said it. You said that we attach love to feeling worthy. Should we attach love to feeling worthy or enough to feeling worthy? Or is it all in the same bracket together? Because I never even thought about that.
Yeah, because think about our relationship with God. We can't escape it.
Mm-hmm.
Love is a love is the language of worthiness.
Mm-hmm.
Love is the language of worthiness. And we are social beings. We are social creatures. And so I'm just going to put it out here. We are wired. We are designed by God to be loved. We are wired by God to be seen, to be heard, and to be understood. We are wired by God to feel love, to be connected. Okay. And so, and I'll do this little Bible study real quick. And if you can remember the story, right? If you remember the story of Cain and Abel in the Bible, and if you can remember that when they had to go and they had to offer up a fruit, an offering unto God, and Cain had his little offering, and then here come Abel with his. And God tells Cain, no, you want to, no, no, no. That's not, no. Next time, go get something better.
Mm-hmm.
And how he felt so unworthy and how he felt rejected because he went and he halfway did whatever he went and done and it just wasn't satisfactory.
Mm-hmm.
And God said, if you go back and you do this and you do these things, you will be accepted. Your offering will be. But
Mm-hmm.
see, he attached it to God's love.
So let me ask you this: like with the world we're living in now, how can women begin to find themselves? Because we're stuck in a place where, like I said in the beginning, where women don't feel worthy. Even myself, I have been there in my early 20s, and when you're in a place and you don't feel worthy, like you said earlier before, we're seeking for something from people, whether it can be family, friends, or maybe it can be a relationship, maybe it can be just men, or a husband or something like that. We're seeking this attention because we're trying to fulfill it with something that we're missing. How can women start to move forward and say, hey, I am enough? Yeah, I may not look like this. Hey, I may not have this, but regardless, I am enough. I don't care what the world say, because I think oftentimes we attach our worthiness to what the world say. You got to look a certain way. You got to be a certain body size. Your hips need to be a certain size. You need to be a certain complexion, certain type of hair for you to be enough. But how can a woman get to a place and say, you know what, it does not matter what the world say, regardless, I am enough?
Okay. Powerful question, right? And let's unpack it because, again, when we're talking about worthiness, now what we're talking about an unconditional merit of value, no matter what you do, no matter what you are, no matter what you've done. Okay? That means that we have to change what we think we know about worthiness and understand worthiness is the unconditional gift of God. The unconditional gift of God. Okay? And that means that we have to change what we have come to know and believe and understand that worthiness is an inherent value, just like the breath that is running in your body. It's like oxygen. It's like oxygen. Well, what do you mean, Tamara, that my worthiness is like oxygen? Well, first of all, you need oxygen to live and to survive. Two different things, to live and to survive. You need oxygen, number one, to make it from one day to the next. 'Cause if the oxygen is gone, then you are no longer existing on this side of glory, as we say. But you also needed to live. You needed to for your organs to be alive, for energy. You need it for newness and freshness and vitality and creativeness. You need oxygen, just like you need worthiness. Here's another thing about the oxygen. Your oxygen don't care if you made a mistake yesterday.
Mhm.
I don't know about your platform. You better come get me. Your oxygen also doesn't care. Your oxygen does not care if you had an epic fail 2 weeks ago
Mhm.
and found yourself being a side chick, find yourself being a ma'am to miss somebody's something, and you made a horrible mistake and you feel riddled with guilt. Your oxygen doesn't care if you wrote hot checks because you needed to get by and that you've been in a pandemic and you feel absolutely bored and you feel completely burnt out and you're looking for some excitement, some kind of way to bring some pleasure into your life. So you wrote a $200 hot check and then your job is gone and now you're like, oh crap.
Mhm.
And you feel completely guilty. Like, what am I going to do about this? Your oxygen doesn't care if you went and got that PP loan knowing you ain't got no business.
Come on,
You feel
bring it
what I'm
real and
saying?
raw. Come on,
You see
let's
what I'm
go
saying?
real and raw with it.
You see what I'm saying? And what I'm talking about is all of the things that we can quote unquote do wrong, that we can be judged by. And judgment is a natural part of life. The crazy thing about judgments and opinions and all that, they're like a bronking wild horse. Because no, and the reason why I say that is because on one hand, we have to make judgments every day as moms, as wives, or whatever. We got to make judgments. We got to make judgment calls. We got to use certain parts of judgments to be discerning, to make decisions, to make critical choices and tense matters and all that. But the other thing about judgments is that they don't just stay put in one area. because the judgments we have to use in certain areas, we turn those same things on ourselves. And people who say, and I'm going to say it, come for me if you want, you are not being honest when you say you don't do it. You do it. It's
Right.
impossible not to do it.
Right.
And if you're saying you're not doing it, you just, maybe you're not aware you're doing it. We all do it. We judge ourselves.
Mm-hmm. We are most critical to ourselves.
Yeah, we are. And so we all do it. And we're all, in some ways, learning how to begin to press the brakes on doing it so harshly. Because when we do it to ourselves, we do it to others. And if we're doing it to ourselves, we're doing it to our kids, we're doing it to our spouses, we're doing it to our partners. You can always tell. Okay, but the whole purpose is how do we begin to become and grow, because people trip me out now in these days in my life when they just, girl, I know I'm ready. I know that ain't real.
Mm-hmm. Because behind closed doors is a different story.
And when you laying in the bed and sleep, your thoughts is running like a bronco
Mm-hmm.
bull beating you up.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? And you got some silent tears going into them pillows.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, girl, what you say?
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then get on there and put all that makeup on and do them snatched up and get on them YouTube videos, try to put that makeup on and come on here and then be on there and then copy paste notes and all that and come on here. You know, no, but it's okay. You know what I'm saying? Because we've been there and we understand what we're
Right.
trying to do and what we're trying to become. Because I can value and I can respect a whole bunch of that, because what that means is you want to evolve and you want to grow, right? Okay. But here's the thing, it doesn't come without honest, real self work. And that means that you have got to begin to have the greatest romance of them all. And that is the one you have with yourself. And it's not about going out spending money unless you're going to invest it in therapy or invest it in coaching or invest it in
Mm-hmm.
someone who is going to help you to peel the cover back. In other words, what am I sharing with you? You're going to have to turn the light on the wounds. I did not say on the gems. I did not say on your golden girls and on your anointing and all of
Mm.
that. No. And ain't no more tongues. Da, 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 put pump. Stop that, right? And get somewhere and be silent and allow the wounds to begin to speak so that you can begin to find and discover. And if you can't discover the ways that you are worthy, then you get to create it. You get to write it. You get to define it. You get to decide it. You get to choose it. You get to, because there's a whole lot of people too, Naranda, who are waiting. I want to find out who I am. You don't have to wait to find out who you are. You've been walking with you for about 20, 30, 40, 50 years. How about making the choice to create who you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
See, that's the power of dominion. That's the power of choice. We are doing a whole lot of waiting and say, I'm just trusting God. I'm waiting on God to give me the answer. That is not how God really functions, because God would not
Ooh.
give you the capacity to think for thine own self if he was going to hijack your thoughts and make you suspend and make you sit down and do all of this stuff that we say we're doing. But there's other people and other cultures and other faiths who are prospering and thriving while we are sitting in misery. Same way in the book of Nehemiah. But Nehemiah, the advocate, had to come out and then challenge their way of thinking and saying, why are you living like this? And saying you are glorifying and you represent the Most High God. There's something
Ooh.
that is misaligned in our thinking and our way of being, because worthiness is about our way of being. Ain't got nothing to do with what we do. It's about
Mm-hmm.
our way of being. In him we live, we move, and have our being. Okay? But being is about energy. All right. Being is about, the time we spend in presence. It's about the time we spend getting to know thyself. God, I know myself. Help me to understand how you build brick by brick them walls and them guards, right?
Bringing the fire today.
And then pit bulls you got lined up on the front of you saying, I wish somebody would. Help me to understand how old were you when that came in and what happened in that moment where you felt you had to protect yourself at that level. How old were you when that happened?
Mm. And you know what? I think the first thing is It's okay to be real. I'm so transparent. Me and you always have these transparent conversations over the phone.
Hmm.
And it's really it's acknowledging it, because before you can move forward, you have to acknowledge, hey, it was a point in time I didn't feel worthy. I said it, you said it. But until you acknowledge it, like you said before, you walk around, oh, I know I'm worthy. But you say that, but your actions is showing something completely different. This is what coming out your mouth, but the things that you're doing in your life is not matching up with them words, you know. And so I think that as women, we got to first say, you know what, I don't feel worthy. You don't have to say it to somebody. You can say it to self. Or Naranda, I don't feel worthy. You know, Tamara, I don't feel worthy. Having that conversation with yourself is the first step so that healing can begin. But until you admit it and you walk around and say, because we act off of what we say. So if you walk around and inside you really feel like you're not worthy, but you said, oh, I'm worthy, I'm working. Guess what? You're going to be walking around in these circles because you have first yet to admit, I don't feel worthy.
Yeah, and see, yeah,
No problem with it.
yeah, and see, and you know what? Can I piggyback on something you just
Yeah.
said? Because you said something that was really powerful. Okay, we about to set the whole platform on fire with this.
Ooh, just set it on fire, girl.
You know, we have to be able to tell ourselves the truth,
Mm-hmm.
right? But see, this is where the freedom come in. The freedom comes in when the wound gets a witness. The wound needs a witness.
Mm-hmm.
See, we got to be able to allow somebody else to hear the wound speak. We need a witness to the healing. We need a witness to the process. We need somebody to step into that space and voice it. Hey, Naranda, I don't feel worthy of no six-figure business.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel worthy. I don't feel like I deserve that. And I'm not sure where that's coming from. I really don't feel like I'm worthy of being loved wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm.
I say I want it, but every day I'm not moving towards it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm moving farther and farther away from it. I see it in my attitude. I see it because I fight people more than I connect with them.
Ooh.
You see? Because on the inside, we speak it.
Mm-hmm.
We tell ourselves, girl, you know that wasn't right. And then the next day, so, you see what I'm saying? We know because we got all that going on. On the inside, we got all the answers. The thing is whether we will expose it.
And you know, we're so, and we talked about this, we're so messed up. I step into the word and I'm like, oh, I got the makeup on, I got the earrings on, I got the hair, I got the perfect body. You are messed up. But under all that mess is pain, it's brokenness, feeling unworthy, in somebody's bed from night to night, with somebody's husband from night to night, you know, maybe doing some illegal things, addictions, strongholds, generational curses that really got us bound down. But when we step into the world, oh, I'm pretty. I got, it's more than to us than this, than this, than this, and all of this. It's more to us. And I always give this analogy. You can buy a bright red apple. That thing is beautiful. You about to buy it. And as soon as you cut that thing open, it's raw in the inside. So what does it profit a woman to have all this on the outside? It's pretty. It's beautiful. It's nice and fine. But when you cut that thing open in the inside, it have no value in the inside of
Mhm.
it.
Mm.
Because
And
the
see,
Bible, we're gonna get Bible baby, because my phrase is Bible baby. God says that true beauty, it starts on the inside. So we're so focused on making beauty, you know, and making beauty and beauty attached to worthiness, because we feel like, hey, if I feel pretty enough, or if I can get this type of attention, then I would feel worthy. But you got to know none of that stuff even matters until you detox what's in the inside of you.
yeah. And you know, and this is the thing, because, you know, our sense of worthiness, our belief. A lot of us don't feel worthiness because we don't believe we are worthy.
Mhm.
You know, you can't feel it unless you believe it.
Mhm.
See, a lot of people like, you got to think it. That thinking is a sub level of belief. Okay? You could try to think something all day long, but if you don't believe it, it don't matter. It's superficial.
Mm.
Okay? You have all sorts of thoughts. You have about 70,000 thoughts running through your mind all day. Okay? I can sit up and talk to you and have a conversation with you and entertain you by way of my thoughts and have communication, have a deep conversation, but that don't necessarily mean I believe it.
Mhm.
Okay? But until I believe it, I'm not going to feel it. It's not going to be genuine. It's not going to be real to where I move in it, where it becomes a part of my value system. Because when I believe I am worthy, I will live my life responding to life, creating a life, treating myself, and treating others from the foundation, from the well, from the river of worthiness. See, when who I am in my core, when I understand that my substance, that I'm not defined, that if I lose my job, and of course that can hurt, but the job and the prominence I had with it doesn't define who I am. But this means we have to constantly do work. We don't like that. We would rather be focused on other stuff out here. But the truth is that worthiness is highly connected to love, genuine love of God, and that we are and we become love. See, we can't have what we say we want until we become that thing.
Mhm.
Okay. Having, possessing, and doing, and all of that, you got to be it first. You got to embody it first. Well, how do I embody it? What are the attributes of worthiness? It is like it's a godlike presence. It's a godlike thing. And that has to do with the way we see the self. But who is the self really? Who is the self really? But see, that takes time. And that's why we say growing into worthiness. Because who are you growing into? How do you define worthiness? For me, it is enoughness, that I am enough. Well, what does that mean? And then where's your journal to prove to you you are doing this work? What does it mean? And then what are you doing? How are you responding to yourself? When you don't do it right, how are you treating you? How are you treating your body? How are you taking care of your body? How are you listening to your body? Or you just reacting? You get up in the morning, take a bath, but how are you loving on your body?
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? How are you loving on your body? How are you being tender with your body? What are you doing to give yourself, loving, caring acts that demonstrate you believe you are worthy of what you say you want? And then how are you treating people? How are you responding to people? Or are you reacting? You know, I'm busy. I'm busy. I ain't got time. I'm busy. You will never see if worthiness, if we could put it like a person, you would never see worthiness, responding impulsively. And what would it look like? What would it feel like? You know?
And I
And so,
think,
uh,
go ahead, Tamara.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
When we talk about worthiness, it's not all it goes further than just self, because it affects you mentally, emotionally, and physically. If you don't feel worthy, that means that you will settle for any type of relationship. If you don't feel worthy, you may have your mindset on, I want a job that pays me 50,000, but you may take one that only pay you 20,000. So when we talk about worthiness, it's abroad, it goes further than just self, but it begins with self. but it goes wider. It begins here, but it goes out to here. You
Hmm.
know, so it's worthiness and self love is kind of almost like hand in hand, right? Do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Worthiness is connected to love.
Hmm.
It's attached to love. You know, it's an unconditional marriage. But see, unconditional, we live in a world that is we are bombarded every single day with looking at what we didn't do right, what we need to do better. You know, why didn't you? How could you? Where are you failing at? What's your goal? What's your man? What about my presence now?
And I think that we need to allow ourselves to experience those emotions, because when we do something we may know that wasn't the best, we're like, oh, that's what it is, what it is, boom boom boom, and we skip over it, not even allowing ourselves to dissect it and say, okay, this was wrong, or maybe I shouldn't have did this really did hurt me. And so we skip over all that until we just like, oh, boom boom boom. But then that's another thing that's packed inside of us that we're gonna build like Legos. We are building it and stacking it because we never took the time to really dissect it and say, hey, that hurted me. That
Yeah,
didn't make me feel great.
yeah. One thing that really saddens me for us, um, many people, especially people of color, is the fact that um, many of us are afraid to feel.
Mm.
Okay, we don't get that lesson. We don't. I mean, the culture, the world around us. Um, we we need to build a not a straw house, you know, but a brick house. Okay, and we need to fortify ourselves energetically and make sure that we got knives, swords of steel, we got porcupine, that we are suited, booted, and armored up. And those emotions, miss me with that because I ain't got time. Okay. But the thing is that those, I love what Sigmund Freud, the father of psychology, that's what they call him, right? What he said. They call him a lot of things, but he was really brilliant in my book. But Freud said this. He said that, in other words, feelings buried, alive, do
Mm.
not die. They will come back later, pop up, in other words, show up, in other words, as ugly little things later in our behavior,
Mm.
in our attitude.
Mm.
Feelings buried alive do not die. And that's what we think we can do, right? But we've been taught as a culture collectively to deny, to dismiss, to ignore how we really feel. We don't take those deep dives because we are afraid. You can pull out one woman out of 10 and talk about anger, and she either, number one, avoids it because she is afraid to feel anger because she doesn't want to hurt other people. She doesn't want to hurt their feelings. Or she may be on the other extreme, will blow up, go off. I'll tell everybody how they feel, where they can go, they mama, and the devil and his mama too. Okay?
The devil got a mama.
Okay. You know, but very rarely will you find the person or the woman, the sister, who can, navigate and respond to her anger in a healthy, meaningful way. I didn't say manage her anger, like as if it's a object or something you work at. No, respond, because feelings are very much alive, and we all got them. They belong to us, and they are part of us. and they make our life they make this life worth living. They make our ability to love our kids. Can you imagine not having no emotions, but you got a baby you just had, but you can't connect emotionally, or
Um,
or you got this booming business and people are telling you, thank you, Naranda, thank you so much for helping me, but you can't really feel it. You just like, well, thank you, it's all glory to God. It's him. Oh, thank you.
You
But
had
you
me up today.
can't even process it.
Hmm.
Can't even process it. Not worthy. Can't feel. So guarded. Or wake up and you got beautiful flowers in your house and can't even smell it.
Mm.
Can't recognize it. But you can recognize that pile of clothes need to be washed. And who didn't do it? But just to be able to take in the breath that, man, I'm here. My family here. Man, my hair's sticking straight up. I don't care. Good morning, everybody. Okay, we are here and we good. What we eating? Toast, cheese, salt. Hello, hey,
You my
Rona.
girl.
You over Rona? We ain't get it yet. Hope we ain't getting it. But hey, how you? You see what I'm saying? Just worthy, knowing and changing, right? And I would even present this challenge to us, right? To begin to identify, you know, what do you want? I'm not going to say this. I'm removing this out of my language for a reason. It's another conversation. I want more freedom. More, that means you in lack, right? How about I want freedom? I desire freedom. Well, what does that look like for you? Okay. And beginning to say, and do it weeks, take your time with this thing. I deserve freedom over and over. And then picture what it would look like. And then write the vision down over and over and over. What would you be doing as a woman? Who are you becoming as a woman who is so deserving of freedom? I didn't say who would be deserving, who is so deserving of freedom. What would you have to do to gain that freedom? What would you have to let go of? What would you have to start doing? What would you have to surrender? What would you have to breathe in? And what would you have to breathe out? You feel what I'm saying?
Right. I do. I guess we have to wrap it up. We cheated this time. We're gonna have to do a part two. Um, One thing I do want to say really quick is that give yourself credit to fail. Give yourself credit to fail, but give yourself credit to move forward. It's okay if you fail, you mess up. It's okay. It's like it's okay. But what we don't want to do is continue to, well, I fail, okay, critic, I fail, critic. Okay. I mean, it's you're gonna be perfect, but give yourself credit to fail, but also to move forward. Tamara, you said in the beginning, you said enough. I want you to leave me with something that you can give another woman using the word enough.
You know what? Enough of the not enoughness.
Ooh.
Enough of the not enoughness. And beginning today and with every day, wake up simply saying, and if you don't feel it, buy into it like you buy into them old Whataburger, McDonald, or whatever messages. Have one at 99 cents off today. This is free. You can buy into surely things that are free.
Mm.
Buy into saying when your feet hit the ground, today I am already enough.
Oh.
I am already. Here I am as I am. I am already enough. And you speak it and then see it until you begin to feel it and walk like it. And that's the key. Speak it until you begin to believe it
Mm,
and then walk like it.
that was powerful. So I want to thank you for coming on. We had to cut this off because girl, we can go on and on and on and on. So ladies, I hope that she said something. I don't even hope she said something that can rally your spirit, because she said some stuff that rally my spirit. So once again, Tamara, I want to thank you for just coming on to High Heels and Destiny. This won't be the last time. It ain't the first time, and it definitely won't be the last time. I'm gonna thank you so much, and you guys, y'all have a great day. Thank you for tuning in.